He didn't start it.
It's going now. And if you start anything with me, you're going to wish you hadn't. That's the way it is because I got my microphone back because my headset that I bought for my kids that they didn't want to use had this hum to it and it was bothering me. So I went back to the old setup. Microphone, official broadcasting microphone, singing microphone if you decide to sing into it. It's all those things. Anyway, we got a special guest tonight. It's Nico for Friday night. Nico.
He's not out partying.
No.
What do you usually do what is your normal Friday night? Tell us.
I'd probably be in bed by now.
What?
You are old.
That's super old.
Come on, you'd be watching the Bucks, wouldn't you?
Maybe not tonight. They don't really have anybody in the good lineup.
All right, let's start off with that. What's our Bucks update? Bucks update, Nick. I know they were on a big win streak, then they kind of up and down a little bit. Giannis having some problems physically a little bit. They got to make sure he's good to go. So what's going on? What else?
Giannis has a sore knee. They've been holding him out every once in a while. The Eastern Conference is basically down to 3 teams at the top. There's kind of a disparity between the top of it's the Nets with Ben. I know you're talking about the Tampa Bay super lineup, but the Nets have been doing the same thing in the NBA.
Yeah, I know.
The NBA needs to change their waiver wire rules, I believe, but we'll see if that happens. And then Philadelphia is also pretty good. And then the Bucks. Those 3 teams have been at the top of the Eastern Conference all year, and then the rest of the teams are like 500. So Embiid he's only played 30 some games. Durant's only played 20 games. Kyrie's played 35 games or something like that. So they say Giannis's knee hurts, but maybe they're just being overly cautious. Who knows?
They seem to not be able to, get ahead of those Philly and the Nets for whatever reason. Even when they went on a big win streak, it was like, okay, they're still kind of behind them in the standings. I don't really care other than the fact that, like a first round matchup against the Heat. I know the Heat's playing different this year, but it makes me more concerned than a first round matchup against those other teams.
Yeah, it'll be hard to say because they got that crazy 7, 8, 9, 10 playoff series this year.
Okay.
You didn't hear about that one?
Nope.
So with the special pandemic rules, it's not the top 8 seeds. The 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th seeds all get to play a little. I don't know what they're calling it, a playoff or play in to get into the playoffs. So actually, the 10th, so the Eastern Conference 10th seed is like 5 games below 500 or something like that. But
like how many freaking? What the heck? So like 2 teams are not going to be in the playoffs?
Yeah. So there's 10, the 7, 8, 9, 10 play each other, and it's like special rules. I think it's like the 7 plays the 10, and the 10 has to win twice, but the 7 only has to win once, or something like that.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't hear about that. That's wild.
So I think the 7 plays the 10, and the 8 plays the 9. And the higher ranked team only has to win once, and the lower ranked team has to win twice. And then you end up being the 7th and 8th seeds.
Okay. Well, thanks for getting us up to speed on what the NBA playoffs were, because I didn't know any of that stuff this year. But that's kind of weird, but whatever. I know they would try. It's a way to make some more money, so that's the reasoning, right? Yeah.
And that, well, the technical reason is yes, that, but also the COVID has reduced the number of games that they're going to play this season. So they're trying to make up for not being able to have a full roster and all that, and full 82 games.
Right on. And we know the NFL's got a 17th game now, so everybody's excited about that.
Well, we got the Chiefs on the road, so I don't know if that's the most exciting extra game you could get there.
Yeah,
that's
no kidding.
The worst draw you could get for an extra game.
We're playing AFC North, the NFC West, and the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Washington football team. Yeah. So, everybody we're playing has been in the playoffs in the last 2 years. It's not Detroit or Chicago. Actually, Chicago was in the playoffs last year. So Detroit's the only team we're playing, pretty much. And the Bengals. And I guess the Cardinals. All right. So 3 teams that have not been in the playoffs once out of the last 2 years.
Cardinals were close, though.
So, it makes the glory all the better. All the more glory.
Hey, Bernard's around. Bernard, how you doing? We'll talk about some Rodgers in just a little bit. All right, before we get to that though, Nico, what are the chances the Packers go 13-3 this year with those opponents?
0.
No chance. Zero chance.
They're playing 17 games. So
yes, good answer. That was a trick question. Damn. Thought I had you on that one.
You can't trick us.
But there is a chance that somebody could hire Jeff Fisher to go 8-1. There's still time for that if somebody would like to do that.
Yeah.
Oh man, Rick, how you doing? Oh, okay. So that's some of the stuff we saw. The opponents, saw the homes and aways. We don't know the schedule's laid out yet, but yeah, I mean, thank goodness the Lions are the Lions and the Bears are the Bears. And Mo, who we talked to a couple weeks ago, doesn't really have much faith in his Vikings. So maybe by default we can still win the division for sure.
I think so.
Yeah, even though the schedule's kind of rough.
I don't know. It seems to me like Aaron Rodgers is worried more about Jeopardy than he's about football. I don't know.
He's not worried more about it. He doesn't have to play football for a while yet. Right now, he's trying to be like, hey, I want 2 jobs.
All I know is Tom Brady works on his craft all year long.
Yeah, sure.
Aaron Rodgers only works 187 days of the year. Aaron Rodgers only works 187 days a year.
I was gonna say first thing that I was honored to be on the show.
Oh, go ahead.
The only Packers podcast where the hosts hate the Packers.
Hey, that is not me.
What?
I do not hate the Packers.
Ben, I think is a Vikings fan that just is like a undercover mole trying to ruin your show by always talking about how bad the Packers are.
Ben just expects. The problem is Ben, like Aaron Rodgers, is a perfectionist.
Yes.
And so he expects perfection all the time. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't quite get it that in football, very rarely, well, actually never are you going to have perfection. Most of the time in life, never are you going to have perfection. But definitely not in football because there's so many different guys and so many different variables and all this kind of stuff. But that's fine. That's why Ben's extra hard on everybody. He doesn't expect certain people to be perfect, just the guys that are actually really good. He wants them to be perfect.
Guys with the money.
Oh, guys with the money. Okay. All right.
Now the guy behind you's got a big contract, so you better not like him anymore.
That's right. Aaron Jones can't be fumbling anymore.
No fumbles.
That's it. No fumbles,
Jones. Who fumbled more in the last 4 seasons, Ben? Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams didn't fumble at all.
I know. It's another trick question I have for you. Good one. All right.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Well,
none of my questions are good. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
There's only 3 running backs in the NFL with over 3,000 yards total offense and over 30 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons. Can you name them?
No. Nico?
Derrick Henry?
Yep.
I got one, Jace.
So Aaron Jones is one?
Yep.
I got that one.
And?
Now Ben's got to name one.
Delvin Cook.
Oh, Delvin Cook. Okay. Hey, did you see that?
Guess how many touches Derrick Henry's had? Over 700. And guess how many touches Delvin Cook has had? Over 600. And Aaron Jones has only had 530 something touches. Yet he still has over 3,000 yards of total offense and over 30 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons. So what does that tell you? He is the best.
He's good.
The number 1 offensive weapon in the NFL today. Period.
He's very good, and our in a sincere note, our condolences out to him and his family. His dad passed away this week, which, I mean, can't be that old of a guy. That really stinks. So sorry about that, to the loss of the Jones family. Appreciate. His parents were awesome. Obviously, big influences in his life, taught him the right way to do stuff and right way to be. And, you know, that just sucks, man. I mean, all of us are much older than Aaron Jones, and we, you know, at least got to enjoy our parents' presence a lot longer than that. But hey, I did, talking about 2017 drafted running backs. This is a good question. Somebody posted the list of those guys from the 2017 draft, and they're like, I don't know, it was like 15 of them that are good, right? 15 of them. And then a couple guys that were undrafted, like 3 undrafted guys that have been productive. So my question to Nick is, could the Packers, which normally they can't find a good running back, but since they actually drafted a running back that year, they were almost certain to have at least a good running back out of that draft. So, Nick, do you think if the running back pool wasn't so deep that year that the Packers would actually found a good running back in a normal year? Or was it just they were just the beneficiaries of such a monster running back class and they lucked out?
I mean, it's hard to say on that. I mean, they do that. I mean, last year was the best wide receiver class, and they did really good, pull a good wide receiver out of there. So
went against that one.
So, I mean, Jones was a good pick. So, I mean, it worked out.
It's just crazy looking at the list of those guys. And maybe that's part of the reason Jones, they found him all the way in the 5th round. But either way, they lucked out no matter what, because they got him in the 5th round, which is like totally nuts. All right, let's see. Let's get caught up here. Mom and Dad are talking about Jeopardy. Bernard's talking about how Cowherd took a shot at Rodgers today, of course. Well, I mean, of course, they're all back on it. He's on TV doing something else, talking about how he'd love to be the full-time host of Jeopardy. And they're just, oh, is he even committed to the Packers? Is he blah, blah. Are the Packers committed to him? Like, come on, man, relax. It's the off season. He recorded this stuff a while ago. Yeah, he wants people to watch it. And yeah, maybe he wants a job that he could do for decades after he's done with football. And according to him, recently, he thinks he can do both right now. Thinks he could do Jeopardy, record some, play football. Jeopardy in the off season, maybe a bye week. Let's record a bunch of episodes, boom, 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 and then keep it going. Nick, you think that's possible? Do Jeopardy and football at the same time?
I don't think hosting Jeopardy is all that taxing. He's not actually responsible for researching the answers. Someone else does that and tells it to him. And you are correct. Through TV Magic, they do not film those once a day. They film like 100 of those over 2 days. So, I mean, it'd be pretty easy, on the off day in January or in March to film a month's worth of episodes.
Yeah. And then you just keep it under wraps, like as the host, you don't go blabbing about what happened, but he's pretty good at keeping stuff under wraps anyway. So nobody knew he was dating, what's her name? Shailene Woodley forever until he let him know. So, I mean, what the heck? And they were spotted in Arkansas a couple weeks ago.
I mean, he's not doing he's not like doing a physical thing or something like that. He's just on a TV show for 20 minutes.
Yep. I don't know. I think why not? He could do it. And then when he retires from football, then he's still got that to do and make plenty of money. And hey, why not? Enjoy yourself. Do what you should do. I do not think it means he's not committed to football or the Packers. People have tried to ask him that question, have thrown it at him, and he's like, no, I'm not looking at stepping away from the game, because there's a bunch of speculation. And Ben actually came up with that awesome dream scenario, which would be fantastic, partially because it might help get the Packers the calls this year. If Aaron Rodgers announced before the season, this is my last year and last run at it. And then, as going through, we might get a few of those end game turning calls, no calls in our favor, Nick, to help us get over the hump. But if he doesn't make that declaration, then we won't know for sure. Then it's probably not likely that stuff will happen. The other teams, the Tampa Bays and the whoever else will get those calls. But it appears Aaron Rodgers thinks he can play for another 5-7 years, and he wants to. So there you go.
All with the Packers.
How do you think that's possible? The Packers don't seem to be all that interested in trying to make that happen at this point. I know they got problems with money, and I know they got a lot of issues with contracts to figure out, but you would think that would be their biggest one to figure out, right? Because think about this. If the Packers didn't have Aaron Rodgers on their team, who's talking about the Packers this time of year?
Us.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. So anyway, I don't know. But the national media has been talking about the Packers all the time in the last how many weeks? A bunch of times this offseason. Everybody wants to talk about the Packers. And if it's mostly because of Aaron Rodgers. A little bit for Aaron Jones. He got the media's attention for a little bit, Ben. Then that was gone. But you would think just on the Packers want to make money. They want to be relevant. Just even on that level, it would make sense for them to get him an extension, commit to him, and have him be their quarterback for as long as he wants to. Plus, he's really good at football.
Well, then why didn't they do it?
I don't know, Nick.
I would keep him at quarterback until there's somebody on the team that's better than him at playing quarterback.
I think that's interesting because we've talked with all these people and a number of folks who are looking at, like, Bruce really just kind of looks at numbers and contracts and, the cap and all that stuff. And I understand football is a business, but then we had like Mo on here and he's just shaking his head at this stuff, that this is even a possibility that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be on the Packers as long as he wants. Cause he's like, can you imagine if you have that guy, why would you ever get rid of him unless you knew, like in the case with Favre, where Rodgers was tearing it up in practice and they were like, holy crap, like we can actually move on here. And they did it. But otherwise, most teams don't have that luxury. So what in the heck are you doing? I mean, the Vikings, when was the last time the Vikings had a good quarterback, Nick?
Tarkenton? Oh, no, Favre. When they had Favre, they had a good quarterback.
All right. But an actual, like a guy who, wasn't just a guy they picked up in like a season or two.
Then never.
Oh, never.
I'll go back to Tarkenton.
It's been a long time, right? Same thing with the Bears. And I know Matt Stafford threw for a lot of yards, but he made Nick mad in fantasy football all the time. So, didn't he?
Stafford was decent. He just was never really a threat to win the division ever.
Yeah. Ben, what do you think? You're saying you're along with thinking it means he's not committed to the Packers, or he's something, not interested in football anymore or something like that?
I don't think he has been interested in football for a while.
Okay.
He's more interested in hosting Jeopardy and going on vacations and traveling the world and doing all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah,
do you go ahead, Nick?
He was the best player in the league last year, so I wonder what he would do if he was interested.
I don't know if he had the best stats in the league. Passing, sure.
Well, we know he had top-notch threats to get the ball to all the time, so that must have been what helped him out, right, Ben?
He did.
Yep. Reliable, top-notch threats. No, come on.
Actually, could have been better if he wouldn't be throwing to Devontae every freaking play. He would have actually been better.
And it could have been better if MVS would catch the ball more than half the time. And it'd be better if a lot of things. But people are human, and perfection is not going to happen, Ben. So get off the perfection.
All I know is this. For 3 years, Brett Favre was not committed wholly to the Packers. And during that time, a young and upcoming talented guy was committed and worked hard and worked on his craft. And next thing you know, Packers are like, get out of here, Favre. You're a slacker. Are you going to work on stuff? Are you going to actually pay attention to the meetings? Are you going to actually do all this stuff? And they got rid of him. And then Rodgers came in and kicked butt. And all I know is there is a video of Jordan Love working out this week. It didn't look that great to me, but apparently at least he's trying. So Rodgers better start. I mean, listen, man, if he's wants to be a Packer, then great. But I don't know if he does. Maybe the reason why the extension wasn't done is because he doesn't want to do the extension.
Well, maybe he sees what the Packers have done over the course of his career, and unfortunately, isn't that thrilled with it. Like, we haven't been thrilled with some of the moves and the Goody moves and all this sort of stuff. So I get it. He wants to win again. Maybe the Packers can't win. I hope that's not the case, but they keep making these weird moves. Nick, we didn't get your take on the Kevin King signing. How'd you feel about that, getting him back?
It's hard to understand. When when a lot of the free agent moves are keeping players and losing players, there's kind of a consensus a little bit, you know what I mean? Or at least there's a strong argument. If you want to keep Tunyon, or if you want to keep Aaron Jones or not. But Kevin King, it seemed like everybody was like, I guess Kevin King's going to be gone. And then they signed him. It's like, it kind of, is when everybody kind of agrees that maybe it's not the right fit for him here, it's kind of odd to see him still get signed.
Very
like
nice
you
way
guys,
to put it.
like you guys said, I mean, it definitely didn't need to be done when it could have been done. Like you could have waited till after the draft and see, how the draft shook out and then got him back.
What do you think about Josh Jackson, Nico? I mean, we haven't seen much of him since his rookie year to actually play, but he got to play a little last year and he looked okay.
Yeah. For me, King hasn't shown me anything that we need to keep him around, and that you couldn't try just about anybody else just to see. I don't think Jackson's worse than King. So maybe he's better, maybe he's not. I don't know, but at least it would be. I think I've seen all the King that I need to see to know that he's not going to make an All-Pro team anytime soon.
Right. It was striking when Bernard was trying to make the case for him. I think it was last week when he came back and he's like, "Oh, he had 5 interceptions in 2019." I was like, "Yeah, you know how many he had in 4 years with the Packers? 6. So 1 interception, the other 3 seasons he played. It's just, there's just no impact, like what is the point? Then you just get anybody there and you give them a shot, like give some of these hungry guys a chance to play. Kadar Holman, I don't know if he's any good, but put him on the field and let's see. Jackson, like that was the thing for like Jackson. I thought, well, this is his last season of his rookie deal. Basically, he's playing for an NFL career this season. So you don't think he's going to be highly motivated? He knows the reality. He's a 2nd-round pick that's hardly got to play. If he doesn't do something this year, is anybody going to sign him? Is anybody going to give him a chance after this? Probably not. So I'm assuming he's going to come into camp highly motivated and competing his butt off and trying to make an impression. If it's not for the Packers to retain him, for somebody else to give him a shot next year. So.
Well, then this last season would have been King's playing for a contract year too.
Exactly.
And he didn't really light the world on fire when he was trying to play, for the contract.
He had one of his worst years, but he's also a guy that they always just seem to put on the field. And you're like, why? I don't like what I see. It's displeasing to my eyes. So why does it keep happening? I don't know, but they kept doing it. So I don't know on that one. All right. Let's see. Oh, Rick brought up Warren Moon. I did love me some Warren Moon. He was one of the best passers of all time for sure.
Jeff George.
No, not Jeff George. Come on. Warren Moon could sling it even when he's old. Is there anything not? God, he's one of the best throwers of all time. Come on. Any arguments with that?
He could throw a football, yes.
Yeah. Man.
He'll do a run and shoot with the Oilers. That was a fun offense.
Yeah, heck yeah. He could sling it all over the joint. He could do he wasn't like that mobile or anything, but he could really throw it. And pretty too. It looked pretty. Ben probably would have liked it because some of those passes were perfect passes by Warren Moon, Ben. You might have liked it. Why didn't you like Warren Moon?
I like this. Fine.
Okay, good. All right. Lose Gannon. Oh, Rich Gannon. That's right. But that was before he was really good. All right. Rick's just trying to work his Raiders into the show somehow. Stop it, Rick.
I mean, there's Culpepper out there always to talk about. Culpepper had some big years.
He had those little tiny hands, though. That was so weird. Yeah. Culpepper, didn't you ever see that? Culpepper had like the smallest hands of any quarterback.
He didn't wear 2 gloves, though.
That's true. He probably should have worn gloves.
That's what I want to talk about.
What? Go for it.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay, everybody wants him.
Why
multiple teams?
Why? How does a guy get a 56 or whatever it was $1 million contract for 2 years or 3 years or whatever that crap when everybody knows he sucks, and then the Panthers sign him for all the money, and then within 1 year they're like, oh my God, this guy's crap. Let's trade for Sam Darnold because he's better than Teddy Bridgewater. That's what's got to stop. This quarterback super ridiculous paychecks for crappy garbage players has got to stop. And even the highest paid guys are making way too much money. Aaron Jones, people freak out for Aaron Jones' contract. His 4-year contract is way less than Teddy Bridgewater's that he got. And it's obvious to anybody in watching football that Aaron Jones is 5,000 times better as a running back than just as a football player than Teddy Bridgewater is. Yeah, he's getting all this money because he's a quarterback, even though he sucks and he sucked for years, and he was hurt for 3 years, and he got all that money. And then finally, the Panthers, after 1 year, they're like, "What the heck did we sign this guy for?" And nobody else is like criticized him for the fact that they did that. I don't get it. That's even dumber than drafting Jordan Love in the first round last year, signing Teddy Bridgewater. That was even dumber than drafting Jordan Love, because at least Jordan Love could be a serviceable, good backup. If Rodgers got hurt, it wouldn't just fall off a cliff like when you had Brett Hundley, right? Teddy Bridgewater isn't going to do anything. He doesn't throw the ball past 7 yards downfield. He never throws it deep. He doesn't really run that great. We showed plays. The play where one of Zadarius Smith's sacks, where it was 1st and 10, and like there was holes everywhere. Just change the play to a run. They would have got like a freaking 7-8 yard run on the play. Instead, he didn't change the play, and Zadarius beat the guy to the outside. He was lined up so far, wide 9 technique, way far out. Beat the guy's butt, sacked Teddy Bridgewater, caused a fumble. I don't even know what happened. It's just dumb. The guy sucks. Doesn't deserve all that money. But why do people not talk about how much he sucks and how dumb it is to pay all these guys all this money? Look at Jimmy Garoppolo. 49ers gave him a bunch of money, and he sucks. And now they're like, we're going to trade 3 first-round picks to get 1 quarterback who hasn't even proven anything in the NFL. That guy's more important to us than this high-paid guy we paid for the last 3-4 years to suck. Yet that team made it to the Super Bowl with that guy. That's why I'm telling you, I am sick of the diva quarterback crap. I think there's ways to get to the winning team and ways to get to a Super Bowl without having a diva quarterback. Okay? Like a Russell Wilson, who's the worst of all, and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and all that kind of crap.
Bernard says Teddy is good and Teddy's his boy. So
yeah. Bernard also says Kevin King is good. He also said Nick is better than me. So Bernard knows nothing. It's obvious. I'm done with you, Bernard. I'm done with your stupid comments because they're all stupid.
He's just trying to get you fired up.
I'm going to trash on Bernard like I trash on Rodgers. Yes.
No, come on. Hey, listen up though. Again, I'll go back to it. Any quarterback that wears 2 gloves, you can't trust them. And Teddy Bridgewater's worn 2 gloves on both hands. Can't trust them.
Oh, I thought you meant 2 gloves on one hand.
Well, that'd be worse. That's probably what Culpepe tried to do to make his hand look bigger, but it didn't work. Yeah, remember he fumbled all the time because he had those little tiny hands. He just couldn't. His hands were like the size of mine. This can't throw a football. This can't palm a basketball. This little hand, not gonna cut it. Not gonna cut it.
No, that's weird.
QB market's kind of crazy. Ben, I think you're wrong about Rodgers, and I can tell you why.
No. I think Rodgers is great.
I get it. I get what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, I'm ready. Listen, I've lived through 25 years.
I know.
Or
more good quarterback play, but you're
this
kind of illustrating
quarterback crap. And how many Super Bowls have we won because of it? 2.
I know.
And both of those teams that went to the Super Bowl and won had the number 1 rated defense that year. Was it the quarterback who won those games? Not always. It takes more than your diva quarterback to win.
It does.
If you put all your money into the quarterback, you can't win. You just can't. Look at the Chiefs. They lost.
But the deal is the Packers have been trying to make the defense better for years and years and years. They've just been not picking the right guys or not having the right scheme or not having the right whatever. I don't know why it all hasn't worked, but you would think they can't be that bad at evaluating talent defensively. However, this came into my mind earlier today when I was thinking about it. How many players that the Packers drafted early on the defensive side of the ball in the last handful of years, maybe even go back 10 years if your brain goes back that far, actually went on to another team and did anything? There are a whole bunch of guys. Dayton Jones, the Vikings cut him. He didn't even make the team. Josh Jones, right? Second round safety guy. Okay, gets another chance with Jacksonville. Well, not really doing much. I mean, there are countless guys that the Packers picked early. Come on, don't even get me on that. But anyway, the point is there are all these dudes, and the Packers drafted defense, and we know the numbers. We know the years where they drafted defense, right? Because just what Ben's talking about. Because when they weren't good on defense, they weren't good enough to win in the playoffs and get there. And I just think they're not good at evaluating defensive talent. And they haven't been for a very long time. So your star quarterback that I know you want to move on from, Ben, or you want to see a different approach because you don't think the star quarterback is enough, is actually keeping the team competitive when otherwise without him, they probably tank out for a while. Now, some people would say, well, then at least the GM would get fired. But the problem is the coach gets fired first. And I think LaFleur is a good coach. Nick, what do you think about LaFleur?
He's definitely brought a different energy to the team. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they're playing different. I was definitely on team McCarthy stayed a little bit too long. I know you like how he smashes watermelons and all that, but he was a good guy, but he kind of ran his course in Green Bay, and I was ready to see him go. So yeah, I'm fine with LaFleur so far.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else you want from a coach. Guy's got to have direction. He's got to have some true. Let's see. Rick brings up Demarius Randall. Seahawks re-signed Demarius Randall. Talking about moving him to corner. I think Randall is probably one of their best defensive players they drafted in the last handful. Of course, Micah Hyde, but then they decided not to bring him back. Like, these are the decisions I don't get. So are the Packers really that good at evaluating defensive talent? I think that's held them back. I saw a video about Clay Matthews. Ben shared it and some other people. And I know, Nick, you were a big Clay Matthews fan. And yep. I kind of undervalued him during his time on the Packers. But now I'm looking at what he did versus what the guys we currently have in those roles do. And I underappreciated Clay Matthews for his time in Green Bay. He was a relentless player for much of his career, and he made a lot of plays.
Sometimes he'd screw up, sometimes he would not contain the edge on running plays. Sometimes he'd get fooled he did really bad against Kaepernick and the 49ers. We all know that. He could not contain that, the quarterback option play. He was terrible at that. But he worked hard. He busted his butt. Yeah. I thought he was a better inside linebacker than he was as an outside linebacker because he could freaking go all over the place and do all kinds of crazy stuff because he used his speed. And that video I showed I just saw something on Twitter today, and I was like, holy crap, that's right. And I talked about that play in the past. I forgot. I mean, I remember him getting the strip and picking up the ball, but I forgot that it was actually the Giants running back who picked up the ball. And then Clay just went and smacked the crap out of him and caused him to fumble it too, and then picked it up after. I was like, dang. And I'm just thinking, like, when does Zadarius Smith ever do that? After Zadarius Smith would cause a fumble, he's got to stand there and celebrate and come on, guys, let's celebrate. No. How about looking for the ball, Zadarius? How about worrying about what's going on with the plays, Zadarius? I mean, even if that's if you would get to the play to make the play. We have too many guys on this team who don't go all the way until the whistle, or even after the whistle in this case. Or actually, no, the whistle didn't happen. And Clay Matthews knew it on that play. I don't have it here to show everybody, but it's a great play. It's one of those types of things that effort matters. Yep. That's why Mike Daniels mattered. We just don't have those guys. We don't have those guys right now. The only guy is Ty Summers. He's got the effort. That's it.
Need more hustle guys, effort guys. Nico, give you a Clay Matthews moment here. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know about a moment, but his first 6 years with the Packers, he was on a Hall of Fame track, I believe. Kind of got derailed by injuries. He had speed. Ben said he had speed. And the Packers have linebackers, especially their inside linebackers, we haven't had anybody with that kind of speed in a long time. You know, I mean, that could move around and attack and not wait for the running back to cross the line of scrimmage to get him. You know, we'd go try and get him in the backfield with make a move on it. Yeah, he had problems with Kaepernick, but for those few years, Kaepernick was giving a lot of people problems because he could run and throw pretty well. So I was always a big Clay Matthews guy.
They talked about his tackles for losses. He had a crap ton of tackles for loss too.
Right.
Like 121 in 10 years or something.
How many tackles for losses Zadarius Smith had in the last 2 years with the Packers? Like 3?
Not a lot.
I mean, come on. The guy doesn't do anything on running plays.
I mean, the thing with Clay too, like you said, is a lot about effort. And the other thing I remembered is so he had the sack totals consistently early on. I mean, and a lot of people will go to Zadarius' sack totals so far in the first 2 years, but Clay did not have the freedom that Zadarius Smith has to go wherever he wants, to line up inside on a guard against a not as good a pass blocking player to pick the matchup he wanted. He was on the outside, always going against supreme pass blockers, and he had to beat those guys in order to get his sacks. Whereas Z is like, hey, I'll just jump inside and go against the guard here. And Ben showed, in one of our previous shows, like the majority of his sacks last year, almost all of them, I think all except 2 were against guards. And guards there's a reason they're guards, right? It's because they're not as athletic. They're not as speedy. They're not as good at pass blocking. So they got to hide them inside a little bit where they can help out or get some help. And anyway, I think that I admittedly undervalued and underappreciated Clay Matthews. He was dang good. Hey,
it's interesting that we're talking about.
Andy Brown talks about Bernardo. That's right. Woo! Bernardo is the man.
Bernardo Harris.
He wasn't fast, but he was awesome. Nicole, you remember
Bernardo? And he had a weird laugh. It was funny. I was going to bring up something. So we're talking about guys who worked hard and guys who go until the edge of the whistle and all that kind of stuff. There's a guy in this upcoming draft that I want the Packers to get in the first round. All right, I'm gonna tell you about him right now.
If you say it, then they're not going to do it.
Well, they're probably not going to do it, so I'm going to say it anyways. He's not a wide receiver. He's not an offensive tackle. He's not a defensive lineman. He's not a cornerback. He's not an inside linebacker. So you'd be thinking, why, Ben, would you want the Packers to trade up to get this guy higher up in the first round? Because they'll have to trade up to get him. I'll tell you why. Because he is the top player at a position of need, and he is a dominant monster. A 6'5", 330-pound center from Alabama, Landon Dickerson. The guy, now, the one thing that sucks is he's had some injury problems. He tore his ACL last year. He's had a couple of knee problems. But when he plays, he looks like Lukey Patrick, Jace. He knocks your socks off. He pushes you until the whistle blows. When he gets on you, he makes sure you go down or you get shoved out of the play. The other thing, he's got super, super athletic agility in space. I've seen him on screen passes and on running plays when he makes the initial block and then goes to the second level. He actually finds a defensive back and blocks him. When was the last time you saw a Packers offensive lineman block somebody on a freaking screen pass? They never do. They just stand there and be like running, and then they don't do it like, Dave Bakhtiari on the running play where he runs with Aaron Jones all the way. No, this guy actually blocks a guy. Also, the thing I really loved is if you slow it down a lot of time, when he's snapping the ball, he actually snaps as he's moving, which I don't know if that's legal or not, but he does it. So he's the first guy to move. So he's getting an extra movement before anybody else because they'll have to react to him snapping the ball, right? And I don't know if it's because maybe the quarterback is not calling, like for Alabama, maybe the quarterback didn't be like, blue 58, blah, 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 whatever. Get out of here. That's what needs to happen. That's holy crap.
Daniel Jeremiah predicts it.
Well, here's the problem. The Packers are going to have to trade up ahead of the Steelers to get him because Pouncey just retired. And the Steelers aren't stupid. So for the Packers to get him, they're going to have to trade up. Now, like I said, coming off ACL. Yeah, he had an ACL injury. But can you imagine, what is the most important position on the offensive line that's not left tackle? Center, right? We just lost Corey Linsley. What this could do, because I actually believe that Eldon Jenkins is, when he played center, yes, he played center, but he wasn't as effective at center as he was at guard or even at right tackle. So if we had to, we could put Jenkins at right tackle or whatever, or Runyon Bunyan or whoever. Oh, he's 6'6". I thought he was 6'5". He was only 308. Well, that just shows you there. I thought he was 330. But he's nasty. He's got agility. He's got athleticism. He moves well in space. He gets on guys and blocks them. And like I said, he's got his snap. He's like, boom. As soon as he snaps it, he's moving as he's snapping. And he's like getting on guys right away. He's got a good base, so he can take on the big defensive linemen and hold his ground so he doesn't get shoved back. Plus, he's good at double teams. He's really good at reading stunts. There's a bunch of plays where they showed him against stunts, and he just, like a guy would stun around, and he just smacked the crap out of him. Remember, like Lukey Patrick smacked the crap out of that guy? Or Quentin Nelson did that one time where he knew a guy was coming and he smacked him on the ground. That's what this guy does at center.
Hey, Wikipedia's got him at 325, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's 330. I think he's like more 330.
He lost some weight for that other one. Maybe that was his summer weight, and this was his winter weight, 325.
Yeah.
Nico,
I don't know,
have any winter weight this year? Or?
Well, not 325, but I'm working on it.
Well, I'm just saying. Okay, I'll stop talking about him now. But that's the guy.
All right,
that's the guy I want the Packers to get, because you're talking a center, which is what they need. It allows Jenkins to stay where he is. Can you imagine Jenkins, Lukey Patrick, and this guy? That's your middle of your line. That's a really good line. We wouldn't, like, losing Corey Linsley wouldn't hurt us as much. I think Runyon Bunyan should be playing right tackle of the future. And then Bakhtiari comes back, and there you go. You got a really solid, awesome offensive line. And apparently this guy, this Landon Dickerson guy, is like super funny, and like everybody on the team loves him, and he's like hilarious, and he's just like a happy-go-lucky cool guy. I mean, I think he would fit in perfectly with this team, and I think he'd be a perfect Packer, like just a happy-go-lucky cool, like a fan favorite right away. But I do think the Packers are going to have to trade up, because I think the Steelers will take him with their pick, because they're not dumb. So that's the guy. That's my crush this year. Center for Alabama.
Center crush.
Let's get him.
Center crush. They had, I'll tell you, they got the draft capital to do it, to move up. They got those extra picks, so couldn't be a problem. Goody's done it before. It's interesting, normally I'd think if they're going to move up in the first round to get a lineman, it'd be to get a tackle, because we know they need tackles.
Well, see, that's the thing. And there are decent tackles, but from what I've been listening to a lot of shows and stuff I listen to PFF, Chris Sims, guys at ESPN, guys all over the place. And the tackles are good, but they're not like the guys at the end of the first round and the guys like can be found in the second round are very similar. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like a head over heels as far as like this guy is way better than all these other guys. Where at center, this guy is like, like a legit all-star center. And then the other guys are just like, okay. So like you're getting a prime player. And yeah, center in first round, a lot of people don't do that, especially the Packers will probably never draft center in first round. But why would you not do it? If you're getting the best player at the position, at a position of need, I mean, it just doesn't make sense not to do it to me. But that's, I don't know, whatever. They'll never do it. I know. They'll take a wide receiver now, which I don't think they even should take a wide receiver at all. But
they will. I don't think they'll go wide receiver in the first round. But center in the first round would be different. They haven't valued. I mean, Linsley was a 5th round guy. Other centers they've had that were actually good. Scotty Wells was a 7th round pick. Evan Dietrich Smith was an undrafted guy. Like, they've had JC Treader was a 5th round pick. I mean, they haven't shown a lot of interest in putting a lot in the draft into that position. It's a very important position. But Nickel, what do you think about that? Because I always look at offensive linemen. Like if you hit on one, that guy can be your starting offensive lineman for 10 years. I mean, that's a good draft pick. If you can, some of these other positions, maybe the guy's athleticism goes down and they can't play 10, 12, 14 years. But an old lineman, if you get the right one, that can be a staple of your line for a decade.
I agree with what you're saying.
Okay, well, that's good.
We really have to see what the general manager is looking to do in the draft.
I know.
If I was general manager of a team, I expect my first round pick to be a starter on my team. Mr. Gutekunst doesn't share that opinion, apparently. It's when you're, I would expect, no team has 22 all pros. Every team in the league has a hole. Not a-holes, but a hole that needs to be taken care of. You should be your first round pick should be someone that probably starts for your team, unless you're doing a quarterback of the future type of thing. But I mean, if your team is good except for a safety, you can find a safety that's going to start. And Ben, if you find a great center, he could start for this team. But is he looking to win next year, or is he looking to have a good team 3 years from now? It remains to be seen.
Well, he didn't address center yet in free agency. And yeah, we drafted a guy last year, but he didn't even make the team. Now he got hurt and whatever, so he was on whatever. But
I mean, the thing is, for one, the only thing is for like this year, they have the ability to kind of shuffle and say, maybe, like I've said, have Patrick play center. They have enough guard depth that they could have two, Jenkins and somebody else, like if it's Runyon or whoever play guard. But I think the interesting thing Ben brought up is if they're going to consider Runyon as an option for right tackle, then that changes the thinking and the dynamic, because then you're not picturing as Runyon being your plug-in guard when you have Patrick play center. You're thinking, okay, Patrick and Jenkins are our guards and we need a center because we're going to have Runyon play right tackle and we're going to cross our fingers with Billy Turner at left tackle for a while till Bakhtiari gets back and hope he heals up real fast. So that I think those questions will be played out and we'll have to see what happens. And we will do more once we actually see. We don't like to do a lot of hypothetical thinking on this show. I know a lot of that's all it is right now. All the sports talk
I did
is all
last
speculation.
Year, and I fell in love with a bunch of guys and they didn't pick any. So it's like, why? But this guy, I watched a lot of film on him, and a lot of teams are talking about him, and it's like a lot of like the analysts and whatever. And it's just he's exactly what I would want for the team right now. And when you compare him to the tackles, offensive tackles that would be there at that spot, their talent level of the tackles does not match the talent of this center. And this guy can help the team right now. And then also for the next 10, 12 years or whatever.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, it's a no-brainer to me. The only issue is his injuries that he's had, which obviously, but hey, you got Kevin King and you got Kenny Clark who gets hurt all the time, and you got Devontae Adams who gets hurt all the time, and Bear Bakhtiari gets hurt all the time. That doesn't seem to phase him. So, take this guy. The other guy, Brown was talking about cornerback. Another guy, it's almost the same thing. He got injured. Caleb Farley. He's like 6'2", super fast, super agility. He used to be a quarterback in high school. He went to college. They were going to move him to wide receiver. And he was like, okay. And then his coach was like, no, we're going to put you at corner. And he's like, I never played defense. I don't think I should play corner. And his coach was like, yeah, but I think your skill set would be perfect at corner. And next thing you know, he's a guy who's like a monster. Like he's getting picks. He's really good. And he had an interview with Chris Sims the other day. I listened to the whole thing. It's awesome. You should really listen to it if you can. But he's another guy who got hurt in 2019. And then he opted out last year. But he opted out because of COVID-19. His mother passed away of cancer. And his dad was living with him all during last year. And he didn't want to have to take the chance of getting COVID and giving it to his dad. Because he's like, I already lost my mom. He's like, I don't want to lose my dad too. But he's one of these guys. He's like super athletic, super fast, super smart. And Chris Sims asked him, he's like, do you think that, the fact that you played wide receiver helps you play corner? And he's like, I didn't know you play wide receiver. But he's like, but I know that the fact that I played quarterback helps me play corner because I know exactly what the quarterback's thinking. And I know exactly what the receiver's trying to do to me. And he's like, and that's what helps me make plays on the ball and all this other kind of stuff. But he's a guy who I don't think the Packers have any chance of getting him because he probably won't fall to him unless somehow he does get, like people are worried about his injury because he's got the injury history too. But he said he's fine. Right now, he can do whatever he wants right now. But that's another guy who's like head over heels, top-notch corner right now. And for some reason, the Packers could trade up to like 15 and get him because he's fallen down because maybe he's injured or whatever. You're talking about Jair and this guy together would be unstoppable. But that's what I want to see him do. I want to see the Packers go for a guy who's the head over heels top guy. Yeah, he's faster than crap. He's like unstoppably awesome and super athletic and super smart. He played quarterback. So it's weird that it's kind of like Ty Summers. He played quarterback. Now he's inside linebacker. He knows what's going on. He can do stuff like that. This guy's the same type of thing. I don't think the Packers are ever going to be able to get him. I think he's going to be too high. Yeah, a lot of people are saying the Cowboys are probably going to stick him at 14 or wherever the Cowboys are picking at. But those are the two guys I really like. Caleb Farley guy and the Dickerson guy are the two guys I'm like, man, those are the two guys I want the Packers to get because they're impact players at positions of need. And I don't think they can get any other impact players as far down as they are or even trade up to get higher up to get any of those other guys that could be there. And there aren't any defensive tackles that anybody's saying is great this year. And the offensive linemen, they're not saying they're like super awesome. So I'm telling you, the center and this corner are the two guys like, just get them and get a starter who can impact and be a freaking Pro Bowler and be awesome. Like, can we do that? I'm sick of the freaking ha-has and the freaking, what's his face? Derek Sherrod and all these crappy guys that sucked and they take him at the end of the round because they just sit there and let the crap fall to them. No, trade up and get a freaking superstar at center or a superstar at corner and let's freaking make it happen. Okay, I'm done talking for a while.
A 4.2840. That's fast. Especially that corner and it's 6'2". He's got good size, all that good stuff. I mean, that's can be an impressive guy. And the Packers have shown they're not afraid to take guys that have had injury problems in college. So what the heck? And I mean, again, he's probably a versatile corner that you could use all over the place if you wanted to. Yeah, you can play outside, but you could play him in the star, you could blitz him, you could do different stuff with the guy, right? And that's what you want. Playmakers. Nico. Do you remember how good of a playmaker Tremont was? We did a Tremont tributes with his retiring this year, and he was awesome. We need more playmakers, man.
I would agree with you. But we're not doing the draft. Someone else is doing the draft. And if you recall last year, he went third string quarterback, third string running back, fourth string tight end with the first three picks. He is,
that's perplexing.
If they are thinking we're building for the future, and maybe they're going to take a wide receiver because it's going to be the love and whoever the new guy is showing 3 years from now. What if they take a defensive end? The fourth string defensive end. I don't know. Yeah.
If we get another edge rusher, I'm going to lose it.
But look what happened last year. I mean, who was thinking that we needed quarterback, running back last year? Nobody. And then that's what they did. So yeah, it's kind of a fundamental thing we've been talking about for a year and a half on your show, 2 years almost. Do the Packers upper management think that we are one or two players away from the Super Bowl, or do they think that we've gotten lucky and overplayed our hand and did better than we thought we were going to do with what we had, but we're a rebuilding franchise. And last year's draft looked like we're a rebuilding franchise, not we're a one or two players away from the Super Bowl.
How do you?
One thing I'd say, Nick, I'm just saying, by restructuring all the guys and signing back all these guys that are on the team from last year and the year before, I think, and the fact that they didn't restructure Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams yet, I think they're going for this is the year of let's get impact players for this year to try to make a run and make it happen kind of thing. That's what I think's happening. And I think I think they're going to draft that way. And
that'd be good.
maybe they'll be smart enough to use future draft assets to move up and get some players that will be impact starters for this team coming in this season. I don't know if they will, but it'd be awesome if they did. And that's all I want. If they do that, then I'll be happy. And I'll be like, okay, let's have Aaron Rodgers. The thing that bothers me is the only reason why I want to move on from Aaron Rodgers is because the team seems to not care or want to play with him. They never freaking give him any, like, I mean, they don't win for today. They're always looking at what's going on in the future. They're always, the only time that they did try to sign those guys is because they drafted like crap for all those years, right? So if the team doesn't care, why should I freaking want him there? I mean, I want him to set the whole offense around Aaron Jones and Robert Tonyan. That's what I want. Base a team around those two guys. Be like the 49ers with Kittle and Mozart. Boom. There you go. That's what you should do. And then once in a while, hit them MVS over the top. The other thing I saw was people are saying that Packers might have MVS on the trade block because it's the last year of his contract, and they're going to try. They don't want to sign him back because he's so wishy-washy. But there might be a team out there that wants a super speed guy who can go and take the top off the defense. And I'm like, if you do that, then our offense is going to look like the Saints. We'll get 2 yards of freaking play, unless Aaron Jones, cracks the seal and goes for it all. MVS is the only thing that scares anybody right now. So you can't trade him away. That's dumb. But whatever. Back to you. Talk some more.
It's interesting. A lot of speculation, of course, this time of year. We don't know what the team's going to do. We want to wait for the draft to find out. Then we can give you more thoughts on stuff. But again, like we thought they would draft very differently last year. They didn't. It is very confusing. I don't understand the thought process. I'm hopeful, though, that they will draft players that can be on the field right away as rookies. And I know the Packers have for the longest time, they've been super cautious about their rookies. They're like, oh, well, the rookies always hit a rookie wall and blah, blah, blah. Well, this has been a very different college football season, right? It hasn't been the grind. They haven't had to go through all the same offseason stuff for these guys entering the NFL. So maybe those rookies aren't going to be as, taxed as they would normally be coming into their first NFL season. So hopefully they take that into account, but also like mentally is the biggest thing probably for a lot of rookies. So you need to find like the guys that are going to be impact guys are the guys at positions where there isn't a ton of mental burden, right? So linemen, yes. Linebackers, probably. Running back, sure, but we don't need that again. But, like some of these other spots, you have to kind of think of that too. Offensive center, okay, yeah, you got to be smart. You got to know what's going on. But again, probably a spot where a guy can come in, play, be effective right out of the gate, get a starting job. So I'm hopeful that they do go that way because this could be it. This could be like there's a lot that's going to change financially for the team after this year. These contracts, we don't know what the future is for Aaron Rodgers. We hope they figure it all out. But who knows what's going on with that? The one thing I'll say is there's been so much talk about it and speculated on it. And the guys that hate are making Peyton Rodgers to be the problem. And other people are like, we don't really know what's going on. What? You think we're Peyton?
When you said people that hate Rodgers, I was pointing at Ben.
Oh, Ben. Oh, okay. He's on your screen on the bottom. He should be on the bottom. God, dang it, Ben. Listen,
man.
The deal is like I could go on this diatribe, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to say is that Aaron Rodgers,
a big word,
is often misunderstood. And I feel a lot of empathy towards Rodgers because I feel in a lot of ways he and I have some similar experiences. Not in the way that he makes a lot more money than me. He's good at football. I am not. He has a Hollywood starlet girlfriend. I do not. So I'm not getting to the similarities yet. The similarities are this. I have too been misinterpreted, misrepresented, misspoken about, misunderstood many, many times by people. And it's really an uncool position to be in because you know what you mean. You're trying to say what you mean, but people always think that you have some sort of agenda or some sort of something behind what you're saying that you actually mean something that you're not saying. And that happens to him all the time. And I get it, dude. And I hate it too. So I'm taking Rodgers for what he says. I think he has been as honest and open and giving great interviews, especially in the last couple of years where he's just like, you know what? I'm at the point in my life and my career that I'm going to be the person I am. He made positive changes to get Danica Patrick out of his life. I think that was a negative influence on him. And he realized it was bringing him to a place he didn't want to be. And so he's at a happier place. But then you have other people who are like, oh, he says he's happy. He says he's, okay with everything, but he's really not. He's just saying that. No, he said it. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to believe that's where he's at mentally. He's being okay with everything because what are the choices he have? And he's made positive influences in his life by hanging out with Shailene Woodley instead of Danica Patrick. So I get it, Rodgers. I don't get a lot of the stuff you get, but I get that part, being misunderstood and misrepresented. And when you say something you mean, people don't believe it. They think there's some bullshit behind it. Sorry about that, YouTube. But the point is, it's annoying. So take the guy for what he says. Give him a freaking break. Nico.
Aaron Rodgers can grow a better mustache than you, so I don't think you guys can be the same. But so Ben's Aaron Jones and you're Aaron Rodgers. Can I be like Frank Winters or something like that? Which guy do I get to be the most like on the Packers?
Where are you going, man? A time machine back to 1995? What are you talking about?
I don't know.
I'll tell you who you're gonna like. Landon Dickerson. That's gonna be your new favorite guy, Nico.
Oh, my favorite Packer is still Lucas Patrick, but go ahead.
Yeah.
You didn't say he's the most like you though.
No, he's not.
Aaron Jones is nothing like me.
Yeah.
Packer who's most like me.
Probably Lucas Patrick.
You guys are both Lucas Patrick.
No.
You guys are
Corey Linsley was the most.
Smith
Corey
brothers.
Linsley was the most like Ben, or maybe it's Bulaga. Bulaga, is that why you brought up his name so many times after he left?
No, I'm more like Robert Tunyon because I'm super cool, super good looking, and super smooth, just like Robert Tunyon.
You guys are got the inflated egos up on you.
I didn't say I was. All right, go ahead. What else you got?
You're better looking than Aaron Rodgers. That guy is not good looking. I don't know if you remember.
He's fine. He's a decent looking guy.
Yeah.
Decent looking guy.
Remember when he had his doppelganger guy, that comedian from the Great Britain? That dude was ugly. That was like if he took Aaron Rodgers' ugliest features and enhanced them a little bit more, that would be that doppelganger guy. And it was like, whoosh. That would have scared me. I bet you Shailene Woodley hasn't seen that doppelganger because if she did, she'd be like, "Yeesh."
Rodgers has got it. His hair is most similar to yours. He's growing it out like you.
I know that's because he's smart.
So, and this is why when you should be in love with Aaron Rodgers, you should have a man crush on Rodgers like you have on Aaron Jones because you got the same hair as you. He likes all the nerdy stuff you like. He likes Star Wars. He likes Jeopardy. He likes being a nerd. Like all this stuff, just like you, dude. So what is your problem, man?
What's your problem?
My problem is that a long time ago, when we first started Hafeman Bros,
and he doesn't
there's a certain listener who said, "You guys got to stop agreeing on everything."
Oh,
I don't know who that guy was.
You're going Cowherd?
I'm going you. You told me, Jason, that we got to stop agreeing on everything. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll be the bad guy because I know Jason won't do it. So then I decided, okay, I'll be the bad guy, and I'll nitpick every little dumb thing I can out of Rodgers. Listen, I got an Aaron Rodgers jersey. I like Aaron Rodgers, but we can't be both on here being like, Aaron Rodgers is really good. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is really good. Well, that's not a very compelling show. I'm sorry. So I got to at least be a little bit critical here and now.
When he's the MVP, you can probably say he's good most of the year. But anyway, that's the other thing. You want to say I'm not like Rodgers? Fine. I also care about what people think, just like he cares about what people think. And I want people to like me, just like he wants people to like me. I know. I wish I could be like you. But
nobody likes me, and I don't care.
Well, Jason, nobody likes me, and I do care. It's damn it.
Well, you got to get over that.
I know.
Jason, I love you.
Yeah, thank you, Nico.
Here's the quarterback.
Likes you.
The quarterback that you're most like is Brett Favre.
Oh.
Because I saw Brett Favre on the Stone Cold Steve Austin show. And they were out shooting bows and arrows and stuff like that and fishing or whatever. And then they went back
to any of that stuff.
No, but listen to this part. Then they went back to go eat. They went to go eat. And Stone Cold asked Brett if he's a serious guy in the locker room or if he's a little bit joker. And all of a sudden you start hearing some farts. There's some farts going on. And Brett pulls out the little machine. He had a little fart machine. He was making fart jokes with the fart machine. Right on the Stone Cold show. I'm like, who else loves putting fart machines on every single one of their shows? That's Jason.
That makes me like Favre a lot more now.
He had the fart machine on the Stone Cold show, just cracking up with the fake farts.
Thanks for that. I now like Brett Favre much more.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. Thanks, Nico. That's good. Good job. All right. Well, the last thing I wanted to ask Nico is, all right, are you concerned? I know you want Aaron Rodgers to be a Packer for the rest of his career. I do too. Mo doesn't understand how it couldn't happen.
Right.
I'm not going to speculate. I don't know what the hell is going on with the Packers and the contract situation and Rodgers and whatever, because that's all everybody's kind of said is like, oh, they're trying to. And Rob Demovsky and Browner said, hey, check out this piece that Rob Demovsky put out where he interviewed, an agent, coach, and some other people, whatever, front office guy. Okay, great. And I didn't really like it because that article it's guys speculating again. Everybody's speculating. We don't know what's going on. All right. We just know that Mark Murphy, even though some people think he's a genius, Mike Florio, don't know how you watch that guy ever talk and think he's a genius. I don't get it. But most people think Mark Murphy's kind of a goofball, and he decided to say nothing to questions and answer nothing. So they gave us no information, which just looked bad and fueled the situation, didn't make it any better. Rodgers just said, like, hey, stuff's out of my control. And most players are like that. Players do not have hardly anything to do with the negotiations with contracts and teams, right? They put it on their agent because they want to play football. And yes, they have a little bit of, they have communication with their agent, but whatever. The agent handles that stuff. So we don't know any of it. So I'm not going to sit here and speculate all of it. All I'm going to say is, let's say this is our last season with Aaron Rodgers. If that's the case, I'm going to try to enjoy it because I don't know what's coming next. I don't know. Nico, you got any thoughts? If this is the last year with Aaron Rodgers, what are you going to do? Going to try to take
that'd be too much. That'd be too much. I think he sticks around.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
People always, we have the obvious situation with the Favre Rodgers transfer and now this one. And to me, there's two big differences. Favre repeatedly talked about retirement for years when he was on the Packers. He's, they had that one season where they went 6-10, right? Or like one of his last couple of years. He was talking about retirement after that year. And Rodgers, that I have heard, has never said, yeah, I'm winding down. I'm getting close. I don't know if I'm going to play next year or not. He's always said he's been planning on playing for a number of years. I have not heard him say, yeah, I'm going to play till I'm like 35, 36, 37, and then I'm done. So that's a big difference. But then the other one is when Favre was here, there was not any quarterbacks that played well in their late 30s and early 40s. I mean, can you think of any guys that were 38, 39, 40, 41 that were still playing at an all-pro level before Favre?
Not many. I mean, Warren Moon was pretty old and he still played pretty well, but he wasn't like,
Rich Gannon, how old was he when he was at the Raiders?
Yeah, but he wasn't actually good until he was a little older too. So
right. But now we've seen, Favre is 40 and playing decent, and Manning and Breeze and Brady. And a bunch of these guys, Phillip Rivers was decent. But a bunch of these guys are 38, 39, 40, 41 years old and still playing well. That wasn't when Favre was 36, you weren't thinking that he's going to play good until he was 41 because nobody had done that before. But now there's a blueprint for Rodgers. He can still throw. He's not like Breeze or Rivers where he's got the new arm. He can still throw well, and there's no reason to think that he won't be a all-pro level quarterback for 4 or 5 more years. So I think it's a different situation.
I'll be right, man. I think that'd be awesome to see the Packers and him figure it out. I mean, again, it's just like one of those things. I get it. Everybody looks at the shiny new object, And at some point, the team has to move on. And most guys, I mean, Joe Montana ended up with the Chiefs. A bunch of these great quarterbacks ended up on other teams to finish their career. Brady just moved on. Like, okay. But Aaron Rodgers has said for years how also it meant a lot to him that he would finish his career with the team he started with. He really wants that. He's committed to the team. I want to see the team commit to him. So, and you got to keep the Aarons together for a few more years, Ben, and see what can happen. When no Devontae Adams is there.
Well, that's the thing.
We get Rodgers.
I will
Jamari
gladly
Rodgers this year.
By the way, I would look that guy up.
No,
nah,
you don't like him? Okay.
Don't like him.
All right.
Anyways, I would gladly keep Aaron Rodgers as long as Devontae is gone. Because I think he's the crutch, and Rodgers needs to. I think he just plays better when he runs the offense, man. And he's not trying to look to Devontae all the damn time. The problem was in the McCarthy offense, that's what he had to do. Because it was a one-on-one offense. It wasn't a scheme offense. And with the scheme offense, you scheme guys open. There's progressions. There's things that happen in, this play leads up to 3 plays later when they do the same concept, but then it's a little change, and then boom, they leave Robert Tonyan wide open for a 50-yard touchdown bomb because 3 guys went and covered Devontae or whoever the receiver was, and Tonyan was wide butt open against the Bears, right? That was an awesome play because there's 5 guys covering Devontae and Tonyan wide open. That's the kind of stuff that Rodgers, I think he's got better at over the last 2 years, especially last year, is knowing, that the offense is good. And with his arm talent, his accuracy, his mostly good decision-making, he's only going to be MVP for a long, long time, as long as he can still throw the ball the way he does. And the problem is sometimes in crunch time, he gets to this, he kind of reverts to the way he was playing in 2016, when he had to bring the team back from despair, and run the table when he was just kind of doing crazy stuff and, was kind of forcing balls or waiting for Jordy to do things. And that's the way he's doing it with Devontae now, where he forces the ball to Devontae too much. And it reminds me of the Randy ratio. Remember the Randy ratio, right? When the Vikings did the Randy ratio, they didn't win because everybody knew they were going to Randy Moss all the time. And they didn't have a winning record. They didn't make the playoffs. It wasn't until they got rid of Culpepper and they centered more on the running back and then just ran the offense. Granted, they did have, Adrian Peterson, an all-time great running back, but still. When they had Randy Moss, they won more games with Adrian Peterson as a center point than a wide receiver as a center point. And that's just something that I would like to see happen. And then Jordan Love, hey, I'll tell you this, I'd rather have a really good backup. I mean, I think a first-round pick's a waste, but if he's a really good player, if Rodgers should ever get hurt again, hey, Jordan Love maybe he'd come in and he can win some games and get us ready to go. Because we all know that freaking Brett Hundley couldn't do it. Now, they had Tim Boyle on the team, and maybe he was good enough to do it, and now they let him go, so whatever. But that's all I got to say. They do something fine. I wish they would extend Rodgers, give him security, make him happy, trade Devontae for some picks, save you $14 million in salary cap space. You could use that to maybe pick up some other guys that you don't get in the draft, and then, hey, boom, Rodgers is happy. There you go.
This draft is going to be critical, though. Nico, you got a final shot before we go?
I agree with you. I think the first round pick's going to say a lot about what they're trying to do.
All right.
Whatever. If it's a win now player, if it's a win 3 years from now player, we'll see.
Let's hope it's win now. We need another Super Bowl.
Well, I think the only way it's going to be a win now is if they move up to make a win now move. If they just sit there and let the guy come to them, it's just going to be nothing. I mean, if they move up for quarterback, why can't they move up for a center or an awesome D-back? Come on, Goody. Don't suck.
Can do it. We'll see what happens. Draft is coming up sooner than you think. Nico, good to see you as always. Thanks for being on tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. You guys take care of yourselves. Hey, I got my first shot yesterday. Feeling good. Round 2 at the end of the month. So Mom and Dad, you're getting a hug in about a month. Coming for you.
Whoa, I got to get a shot yet.
Get your shot. Be safe. Stay well. Take care of yourselves. And just try to bring positivity to your world, your Packers world when you can. Goody, give us some hope, baby. Give us some hope. Oh, what do you got?
I was going to say one thing.
Yep.
This last episode today that dropped from Blue 58, the Power Sweep guys on YouTube. Very good episode. He talks about all the wide receivers that are probably, good picks. He does really. That's one thing about us. We kind of talk a lot and we give our opinions and whatever. We don't really have much stats and we don't go in depth into all this kind of stuff. And if you want to go hear a really good in-depth wide receiver breakdown, today's Blue 58 from the Power Suite with that Beer Dink guy, really, really good stuff today. He broke down a bunch of receivers, put them into tier categories and all this other kind of stuff. And unfortunately, your Amari Rodgers was not even in tier 3. So,
okay. Well, I just wanted that Rodgers. I wanted that Rodgers to Rodgers connection again. I miss it.
But it's a really good episode if anybody wants to, learn something about what receivers are in the draft this year and stuff like that. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Nico, you're a good man. Take care of yourself. Everybody be safe.